Took a second to get started there. If you're watching the replay, make sure to subscribe so you don't miss the next one. Click that bell notification. Of course, you can also become a channel member by clicking that blue join button. No need to do that if you don't want, but it does help the channel out. Speaking of members, we already have one here. Igor became a YouTube member. This was already here, so and it says 1:35 p.m. It is definitely not 1:35 p.m. So I don't know if Igor is actually here or if it's just notified me that he became a new member. But if Igor is here, let me know. Okay, so we're talking about prepositions today. And I got a new webcam, which I might be replacing. For some reason, it kind of washes me out. I don't know if I have to change my lighting or something, but we'll ignore that for now. Mr. Pretzel is here. Welcome, welcome. We'll kind of wait for a few people to get in here maybe. I should jump right in, but I want to get, okay, looks like we got a few people in. Doesn't tell me who, it just tells me people are watching. That's good. Taylor is here. I'm just going to call you Taylor. How about that? Taylor's version. Yeah. If we have any Swifties in the audience, let us know. Because I know King Lion is. That's the former username for this person. In case you're confused by why I'm saying King Lion. Fernando is here. Abdullah is here. Welcome, welcome. Yes, good morning. I don't know what time it is where you are, but it's 10:30 a.m. here. Abdullah, welcome, welcome. Another supporter is here. M. Ganeshali. Hello, hello. Your username makes me think of Ganesha, the elephant-headed god in Hinduism. I don't know if that's intentional, but yeah. King Lion is fine too. I don't mind. Good, good. I know you said that last time, but it's like if I say King Lion, people are gonna be like, "Who is he talking to?" So I don't know. Okay, well, let's. Yes, it was intentional. Oh, okay. So I don't like to assume, but I assume maybe you're like Indian or somewhere around there, or maybe you just chose that because you like Hinduism and stuff. I don't have. Do I have the books in the background? I do. I have the Upanishads and the Bhagavad Gita. So I haven't opened those books in a long time, but I was studying them back in high school and college, early college days, because I like that kind of stuff. I just like elephants. I'm from Puerto Rico. Okay. Puerto Rico. I mean, change the R's to L's. Yeah, cool. Very nice. Good to know where people are from. Okay, so prepositions. I don't have a specific plan today because you guys had a lot of questions last time. I was thinking of a couple points we could cover. The downside to trying to do lives about this topic is if you haven't read the book or at least some of the book or watched the few videos that I made, I know they're very long, to kind of get an idea of the process and some of the first few prepositions, because they're in a very specific order for a very specific reason. It's kind of hard to make sure everybody's on the same page. Just because there's so much information. Like I gave lots and lots of examples, but it's 400 pages, right? The book is 400 pages. And I think, yeah, I have it out of my car or somewhere right now. So I can't show you guys, which would probably be good promotion material, but I'm not very good at that. So Benito is here. Welcome, welcome. So yeah, definitely let me know if you guys have questions. We'll make this more of like a preposition Q&A, I guess. Some of them, again, are probably going to be pretty hard for me to answer without the background knowledge. Some of them might even be hard because I'm still not brushed up on it. I went back and started looking at it again, but yeah, I should actually probably open for reference. Also, keep in mind we recently passed 15,000 subscribers. We have a special live stream coming. I think in like 4 or 5 days, somewhere around there. Maybe it's Monday. I don't know. But it's scheduled. You can see it in the upcoming lives. And during that special, I don't really know what to do special for you guys usually. And so I know I've given away free copies, to winners and stuff. And this time I'm going to create a special link that will just give you all my books in ebook format, of course, because that's cheap and free, very easy. But it's going to be for everybody. And the link will be active for maybe up to 24 hours after the stream in case you missed it. So everybody who attends will be able to get a free copy of all of my ebooks, which I know some of you are probably excited about. Let me open. Oh yeah, was that last time? Yeah, when we were talking about the verbs, it was like 1 or 2 streams ago. The thing I forgot to mention, so the point of view stories, because we were talking about at the beginning, I said I'm going to give you like some techniques and stuff on how you can like build the feeling for this and whatever. So I have point of view stories, The Black Cat and Tom's Horrible Day. They're in one book, 2 stories divided over multiple parts. And it's designed, the grammar, it's not about learning grammar. A lot of people look at it and they're like, this grammar is really too easy. It's not about learning the grammar. You have 3 seconds to answer, right? We'll change it to a question, answer the question, whatever it is, the different exercises. And that forces you to have to respond before hearing the answer. And that will help train the proper structure into your brain. So that goes with the last live stream. But I'll be mentioning that again in the next grammar lesson or verb lesson that we do. I can't do 2 things at once, apparently. Where is all ebooks? Right here. Logic of English Prepositions, PDF. Okay, so I have this open for reference. Go ahead and put this over here. And we're still dead in the chat. Come on, guys, ask your questions. I can't answer questions if you don't answer or if you don't ask them. Okay. So I guess what we can do here, we'll start. Let's start laying out the basics of some of these prepositions then. So until we get certain questions. So first we have of, and I can actually go ahead and share my screen with you guys here. Present, share screen. This one, share. Okay, so you should be able to see my screen here. So this is straight from the PDF version of the book. I don't know if this is the finalized version. It probably is. But this is where I looked to try to find the maps before, and I couldn't find them. Let me actually see if I can find the maps. I wonder if I can search. Can I search this? Find. That didn't do anything. Okay. Maps. We're off to a great start. Because these maps are very interesting. If I can find them. Nope. I don't know why it's not in this PDF. Oh, that's why, because this is where the maps are supposed to be. Oh, this is a quick reference. I think maybe the images didn't save, because I know there's supposed to be images there. Okay, so in the Kindle version, the images are definitely there. So I'm going to have to update this and find the one that has the images in it, and I'll include that one in the free copies so that you guys have that. I don't know what went wrong with that, but let's go to of. Can I click on that? No, I cannot because it's PDF technology, right? Okay. Come back over to the chat. Hold out. Okay. Hold out. Is that a question? Or I think so based on the emoji, but is LMAO is throwing me off. Hold out. Hold out can have several meanings. And that's one of the interesting things about the prepositions and the phrasal verbs, because they're very context dependent, and depending on what you combine them with, the meaning of that verb and the meaning of that preposition can create, just like the core idea of one preposition creates all the ideas of that preposition above the surface, all the definitions. When you combine it with certain verbs, you can actually get multiple meanings as well, which is cool, but also unfortunate, because it's not just like, oh, I learned this one. No, now you have to learn the second meaning of the same one. And that takes time. It's just the natural process of learning. If we do hold out, so like to hold out, so we'll cover two basic meanings there. We'll stop screen. So if we do, all the wine moms are still holding out. Yeah. Okay, that was the first one I was thinking of. Abdullah asked for act up. Okay, so we'll get to that one. Good. So if we do hold out, literally hold out, like the most basic, usually with, well, I don't want to say usually, with a lot of phrasal verbs, when you look them up online, you'll see a lot of phrasal verbs that I don't classify as phrasal verbs. To me, a phrasal verb is a verb and a preposition that combine to create a new meaning. And just because you see a verb and a preposition together and they're sort of working together, they're not necessarily a phrasal verb. And usually they're not actually working together in those cases. So literally, if I say like hold out your hand, or hold out I don't know, I need an item here. The can. Mountain Dew, not sponsored. Hold it out the can. Okay, so this is literally my body's here. I'm holding it, and it's away from my body, so it's out. Hold out. So if you want to see someone's hand, you say hold out your hand. We usually do palm down. So that I don't consider a phrasal verb. That's just hold something out away from your body. But if we use the meaning that King Lion, Taylor's version, is using here, all the wine moms are still holding out. That sounds like it's a line from maybe the Real Housewives or something like that, but which I've never watched. This is where you're see, how we define things can be, I want to make sure I use the right words. You're sort of maybe hiding something, you're keeping something, you're not revealing certain information, or that you have a certain thing. So that's probably, you're not revealing some detail. Good question, M. Ganeshali. We'll definitely cover that. So if the wine moms are still holding out, it doesn't matter who it is. We'll say Taylor is holding out. So that means that, like, the context is important. Let's say, let's go ahead and say it's Taylor Swift. We'll use that as inspiration. Oh, it's from a Taylor Swift song. Well, there you go. So let's say, Taylor Swift has a new song, but she hasn't shown it to the world, right? It hasn't been, nobody's heard about it. It hasn't been talked about. It's a secret, right? And she's gonna have a concert, and she goes through, okay, this song and this song and this song and this song and this song, and everybody's like, oh, this is so amazing because Taylor's awesome. And then at the very end of the concert, she's like, I have a brand new song for you guys. Okay, so you don't necessarily have to describe it this way, but you could say, oh, Taylor was holding out. She was sort of keeping some information from us. She was keeping a new song from us, until the very end. So that's the idea. The hold is like, either you're trying to keep it hidden, you're trying not to reveal it, or you're keeping it for like the last thing or something that's later, maybe because it's special or whatever. So the exact context can add a little flavor or nuance to that. But Rosa is here. First time I'm on your streams. Awesome. Welcome. Glad to have you. We're just going through talking about prepositions here and the logic behind them. So that would be the basic meaning. Now, why? That's the question, right? Because we're not just here to figure out what is the meaning. We're here to talk about why. So if we go down to out, I'll share my screen again here. Present, share screen. Yes, click all the buttons that I have to click in order to make this work. We go to out. If I can find out, I know it's near the end. So again, out it's pretty abstract, and if you don't understand in, on, up, down, you can't fully understand out. But we don't necessarily need to fully understand it to see why. Why is there a problem? Okay, let's refresh. um, let's see, where are you? Up by from out. I guess it's only about halfway. That's one of the good things is you guys don't necessarily have to understand every little detail in order to understand stuff that's later, but usually the stuff that's later in the book, if you haven't gone through the stuff before it, the prepositions before it, there's probably going to be certain details that you're not familiar with or don't seem to make sense. And sometimes, like, I try to lay everything out very clearly for every preposition, but sometimes it's like, oh yeah, remember when we talked about at and we talked about this idea? Well, this also applies here. It's connected to this preposition in this example, blah, 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 blah. Hi, hey, there's some pictures. Not maps, but those are some pictures. So we do have pictures in here. Out should be the next one, I think. From, no. See, there's so many examples, guys. Just so many examples. This book is just full of literally hundreds of examples. Okay, out. So the key idea of out, it has two key ideas, which is a fairly common thing. I had tried to boil them down to one key idea, but it didn't always work. So number one is an outward direction. That's usually just the physical, plain, basic thing, and that is still rooted to the very core key idea. But sometimes the core key idea is so abstract, which here is movement between existence and non-existence. Again, the maps really help with that. I really wish I had the map to show you guys. And it's a two-way preposition. That means that usually the way that things apply is with the flow of the sentence. So I am a teacher, right? It just goes over, the keys are on the table. So on the table, it's sort of connects this way. Occasionally, the idea will connect to the thing before it instead of the thing after it. That happens sometimes with of as well. We're not going to worry about that right now. But an outward direction is sort of the very basic, easy to understand, not necessarily physical, but often physical idea that is a little more concrete. And so I included that as number one, but then number two is the abstract one. Movement between existence and non-existence. So I talked to you guys about the cone, how we have like at, on, in. We talked about that last time. And then of course you can reverse that, and so you have two cones. We'll focus on just the one. So if you have this cone here, I call that the cone of existence. And there's a reason for that, because everything happens within existence, and the prepositions in various ways help show us the moving in and out of existence. This is again where it ties to up and down and on and off, because on can be that positive state or active state. Up can connect to that. So think up an idea. It didn't exist. It was not existing. It's not in my imagination yet. I have to be creative and think up an idea. So I'm creating it out of nothing, right? Notice I'm creating it out of nothing. Okay. So that's how up and out sort of connect. And then of course, on, that positive active state, think up the idea, and now it's on. It's existing. It's not physically on a surface necessarily, but I'm putting it up out into the world. It's in consciousness, a little light bulb, right? I got an idea. So now that idea exists. And even though we don't say out, it's working under the surface, because it was out of existence. Now it's in existence. That's why in is the top of the cone, because it comes into existence, and then it's on. It's a positive active state. Okay. Anyway, movement between existence and non-existence, if we're talking about hold out. Okay, or an outward direction hold out. So we talked about the basic meaning of hold out. Obviously, it's an outward direction. All right, we're right on track. If we're talking about this sort of not revealing some information, keeping something for the end, whatever it is, that type of idea. So if nobody knows about it, obviously nobody knows about it. It's hidden. As far as everybody knows except this person, it doesn't exist, right? They haven't brought it out into existence. They haven't mentioned it. They haven't brought it up. Phrasal verb, bring up, to mention, to say something about something. Um, so that in that case, the person does know about it, but nobody else does. Okay. This is related to, like, if we say he came out with a new book, people might know about it. This isn't hold out. This is just out. People might know about it. They might not know about it. Who knows? But the book did not exist. He works on the book. Again, positive active state. It's also sort of a surface or platform that he's working on, like hammering a sword into existence. You can think of it that way as well. But he's working on the book, and then it comes out. It's released to the public. Okay. Um, and so now it's out into the world. Notice I said out into the world. Okay, so out from non-existence into existence into the world. So out and in can also work together as well. It might seem a little weird, but it works. It's part of how the language works. So hold out. There's another thing I was going to say about that. Yeah, in the case of hold out, if we, oh yeah, the other thing I was going to say is if there might be, like in this case, like all the wine moms are holding out. Okay, so the wine moms know. And then, in this Taylor Swift song, apparently Taylor knows, right? So some people might know that there's something that they're not revealing. So it doesn't have to be completely not known, depending on the context. But you still probably don't know what that is, or at least most people don't know what that is. So usually, right, somebody reveals something, and then you might say, "Oh, you've been holding out on me. You have been holding out. You've been keeping something secret. You've been trying not to reveal something, maybe up to a certain point or forever because I don't want to reveal it, on me." Now, on me, that's obviously, there's going to be some connection there, but we're not going to worry about that because that's a little abstract. Okay. We definitely got the comments going. Very nice. So that would be my explanation for that. Hopefully that makes sense for you guys. Let me make sure. I'm going to try not to skip anything, but I want to make sure we don't have anything too crazy that I should respond to. We can't see very well. It's very fuzzy. Oh, that's good to know. I don't know why it's fuzzy. Apparently it says my connection is unstable, which shouldn't be happening because I bought these awesome new Wi-Fi thingies that should be picking up a strong signal. So that's unfortunate. Looks like it's getting better. I don't know what the issue with that is. If that happens, I mean, just follow my voice. Just listen to what I'm saying. Do you have printed copies of your book? I'm old school. Yes, they're available on Amazon. Depends on your exact country. I have it available in all the possible Amazon stores, but I know sometimes some countries don't have access to it. But they're all through Amazon. I really like the Taylor example. Yeah. Okay, so let's go back to where we were. I'm probably not going to be able to go through all of these, so I'm going to have to pick some here. Since we're doing out, let's try to stay with out for the most part. So Abdullah asked about chicken out. So if we don't usually use chicken as a verb by itself. Okay, this is a really good example because in this case, we're actually using what is usually a noun, right? We don't say to chicken. It doesn't make any sense. So it's a noun, but there are some cases. I don't think there are a lot of these. My stupid mic keeps wanting to change its volume. There are some cases like this where we can actually take a noun and apply it with a preposition and make a new verb out of it. Again, when we're thinking about phrasal verbs, usually it's a verb and a preposition. In this case, it's a noun, but you're thinking of that as one unit. Remember in the grammar lesson, if you were there, I was saying how when we say to be doing, right? So the be in the doing, that ing form, that's one unit. Grammatically, you can chop it up and say, I put the be with the ing, and then it creates this continuous idea. But in reality, when we want to express that idea, it's just one unit. We feel it as one unit. We express it as one unit. We don't think of it as to be plus ing, right? Or same thing with the modals. If I say I can do, I'm expressing the ability to do that. I'm not combining can and do. That's how we express that. That's how we express the ability to do that thing. That's how natives, we just naturally use it. So when we do chicken out, in this case, to chicken out means usually there's some sort of challenge or whatever. It could be positive or negative, but there's something that like let's say you're gonna jump out of a plane, right? Like you're gonna go skydiving, right? So there's parachute, all that stuff, right? Don't go jumping out of planes without parachutes. That wouldn't be safe. Um, but let's say you want to go skydiving, your friend wants to go skydiving. Okay, so you guys go, and then your friend is super excited. He's like, oh yeah, maybe he's done it before, or she's done it before, whatever. And they're like, okay, ready? We're gonna jump out of this plane. And then you're like, I don't know. I don't think maybe this isn't a good idea. I don't know. It's now that I'm here, it's really scary. I don't want to do this. Um, so we would say, right, you might tell your friend, or your friend might tell you, hey, don't chicken out. Again, we can say on me. Interestingly, don't chicken out on me. But okay, so that means that you're going to avoid the thing because of fear, right? So if we say someone is chicken, not a chicken, someone is chicken. Now chicken is being used as an adjective. Chicken is a very flexible word, guys. If someone is chicken, they are afraid. They're scared. Scaredy cat is another one we have. Usually it's a thing. I mean, adults can use it, but it's more like an immature children type thing. Like, oh, you're chicken, blah, blah, blah. Okay. So if we take that idea of chicken with fear and then out, it's like you were in the thing, you were engaged in, notice engage in, you were engaged in the thing, you were ready to do the thing, or you're about to do the thing. And then you want out, you want an escape. So again, out is outside of existence. Okay. It could literally be an outward direction in sort of an abstract way, like you're moving out of that activity. But we can say you're in that activity. So that's part of inside the cone of existence in some way. And then you want to get out of that activity. You want to leave that activity, escape that activity so that it's not active anymore, right? Which is the connection with on, because it goes up the chain. But hopefully that should make sense. Chicken out, you're trying to escape something because you're afraid. Usually something that you were going to do, you said you were going to do. If you didn't say you were going to do it, somebody could still call you chicken, but they wouldn't say chicken out because you didn't say you were going to do it. But if you say you're going to do it, now you're engaged, and then you say, no, never mind, I don't want to do it. Okay, so you change your mind. We'll switch gears here for a second. I don't know if we have any more without, but think of versus think about. This one, I actually cover this one in the book because this is a sort of a tricky one. And I think I covered it in the about section. It's going to take me forever to find about. And this is not very, not a conducive way to do a live stream. Just searching through my book, which, by the way, there's also a workbook that goes with this as well. I think there's one of the answers that is mixed up and I have to fix that, but whatever. We'll stop sharing for now. Of the core idea of, there's two ideas. They're technically the same thing. They're like two parts to the same, or two sides of the same coin, but they don't seem like it on the surface. The first half of the coin is part. That's the key idea. Part, some part of something. Okay, so we say part of, and the other side is content. All right, so we say the table is made of wood. And of is a two-way preposition too. So you could say, well, wood is part of the table. That's one way to look at it. But usually when we do that, we're thinking, well, the contents, the material of the table that physically make the table is wood. Now, of course, if we have a table and you have a drawer, then we could say, well, the book is, we wouldn't say in the table. We could say in the desk, in the drawer. So sometimes depending on the word, it may be talking about the material of it or what is inside, like a drawer of it or something. Tables don't usually have drawers. That's why it sounds kind of weird. But desk is very common. Instead of saying desk drawer, you could just say in the desk. So that's of. Now, when we think of something, would that be part or content? Again, sometimes it could be both. It doesn't really matter necessarily, but sometimes it can be both, and we can think of it both ways. And sometimes I've had cases where I was doing this with students, and they gave me their ideas, and I'm like, yeah, that works. That makes sense. I didn't even think of that. So you might think of something based on the key idea that I didn't even think of or that I didn't describe. That might still be accurate and work. Um, Remember, we're just using logic to find the feeling, make it make sense, make it stick in our brain, be able to feel what's going on. That's the ultimate goal at the end of the day. If I think of, I don't know, an idea, I think of a person. Okay, so the content of my thought, what I am thinking of, is that thing, that person, whatever it is. Okay, so when we say think about, so about, without going into too much crazy detail, the core idea of about is a scope, and about and on have connection as well. If we say it's a book on Gandhi, it's the example I give in the book, it's a book about Gandhi. Those two mean exactly the same thing. This is a case where on and about are interchangeable. Sometimes you have cases where two prepositions in a particular context will mean exactly the same thing, and it doesn't matter. They feel a little different, but they mean exactly the same thing in that case. On, obviously, because it's like on a topic. The topic is Gandhi, right? We're talking about Gandhi, talk about. Okay, we actually use about. Why about? Think about, talk about. About is usually used with these verbs. It's not the only preposition that can be used, but it's usually used with these verbs because that creates the scope. What are we focused on? So we're not focused on everything. We're saying, okay, I'm going to talk about this. Now we're on that topic. So you can actually be, if you take the scope, right? I'm looking through the scope, Gandhi, that's my focus. And then I focus on, whoops, I focus on, now it's sort of a platform that it's the topic that I'm on. I'm talking about it, right? So we can see about and on are very closely linked together in this type of context. So if I think about something, that is the scope of my thoughts, right? If right now I say pink elephant, okay, you were not thinking about a pink elephant. Maybe you've never thought about a pink elephant, but because I said those words, right? Part of the power of language is I just put an image of a pink elephant into your brain. That is now the content of your thought. So you are thinking of a pink elephant, you are thinking about a pink elephant. Those are both technically true. There is a little bit of a subtle difference. Sometimes it doesn't matter, and this can actually be very hard to describe. I took extra effort in the book to really lay this out, but I'll try to give you a short version that's not too complicated. If I say, I'm thinking of you, that could mean it's still the same basic idea that you're the content of my thought, but it could be that maybe the purpose is because I'm trying to be kind, right? So let's say you're my friend, and I know that you've been having a lot of difficulty at work, whatever, blah 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 blah, and I want to do something to help you feel better or to relax or whatever, and so I buy a beer or something, I don't know, and I give it to you, and I say, oh, I was thinking of you, thought that this you might enjoy this, whatever, glass of wine, something, I don't know, it doesn't have to be alcohol, but and so that when we use think of in that way, it kind of sounds like, well, you were the content of my thought for this purpose, right? Like something caused me to bring you into my mind and make me want to do this thing because maybe you're stressed or whatever. Okay. Think about is kind of very plain. It's literally just what is the scope? What is the see, again, I want to say the content of my thought. So again, we can see the connection here as we're trying to describe things. But that's part of the problem with the prepositions, because they're literally the part of or a core part of the backbone that links the language together and shows the relationship between things. That's what a preposition does. And so sometimes when we're trying to describe one preposition or just a situation, we'll end up using other prepositions to help us describe that thing because everything's connected. Well, not everything, but a lot of things are connected under the surface. That can also be confusing, but it's just how the language is. But think about it, if I say I was thinking about you, there might still be a reason, but it doesn't sound like you have a special reason or a special purpose. It's just you were in my thoughts, or that was the scope, for whatever reason. Nothing special necessarily, but you were in my head. Think of, we also tend to use with, so if something reminds you of a person or reminds you of a thing, we say it made me think of that person or made me think of that thing. So there's sort of causal relationship, something outside bringing it into your mind. Like when I say, think of a pink elephant, I could say think about a pink elephant too, but it feels a little bit weird there. It still works. So it's a subtle difference. Depending on the exact context and what you want to say, you will probably use one or the other, but a lot of the times it doesn't matter too much between these two. This is one of the hard pairs where you kind of really have to feel both of them and have a good understanding and feeling of how both of them work in general. And then just like look up a bunch of examples. I tried to provide a bunch of examples in the book, but if you go to like Youglish and you go like think of and just like watch 20 different examples and then think about and watch 20 different examples, you'll probably start to get a better feeling of when each one is used. So anyway, make sure we don't have any critical comments. Oh, did Fernando just become a member? Oh my God. Fernando is awesome. You can join the channel for as little as $1 using the blue join button underneath the video. Again, not required. I made it so cheap so that anybody can do it if they want to. When described as logical, I'd most likely describe it as a common theme. Well, that again, that's what I talked about last time. Don't worry, guys. I'm not skipping everybody here. This is an important point. I didn't I didn't describe this as well in the introduction to the book as I wanted to, because the idea wasn't 100% solidly formed in my brain yet. But as I was talking about last time, one of the first things I opened with is it doesn't matter if it's logical. If you want to say it's not logical, it's a common theme or it's whatever, that doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if they're actually logical or not. What we're really doing is we're applying logic to find the core idea that in some way, sometimes it's very abstract, sometimes it seems like a stretch, but in some way will explain and attach to every single dictionary definition of that particular preposition. And of course, it will also apply to every phrasal verb. Phrasal verbs can get very abstract, but that's why the book is 400 pages, because I went in detail to describe how everything applies to the core idea in every single example. And I have not found an exception. I found some cases that even I will admit are kind of a stretch, but not to the point where I'm like, yeah, this is an exception. This breaks it. I've never found an exception to the core idea of a use above the surface. So whether you want to say that the prepositions are logical or whether you want to say that we're using logic to explore the prepositions and build connections and understanding and build that feeling, that's really our ultimate goal. And so who cares if they're actually logical or not? Then I guess the book is misleading because it's the logic of English prepositions, but that's a lot better title than use logic to feel prepositions. It's a little catchier, right? And the core idea is there's logic involved, right? We're using a logical approach. So rip off. Let's see what else we have. I really don't want to do off, guys, because off is super complicated. Egg on. So Abdullah with all the interesting ones. So to egg or egg, or you can say or a. I kind of use both. I think I usually use a, but to egg on To egg something, literally, that you can use egg as a verb, and what that means is, usually it's around, Halloween, although that's probably more TPing. Um, but if to egg just means like to throw eggs at someone or something. So you throw it at them, it breaks. You egged that person. You cause them to be covered in egg, partially or fully, whatever, it doesn't matter. And so that doesn't have any special meaning. It's literally just you throw eggs at somebody and it hits them, or you throw eggs at something. You can egg a car, so you just throw a bunch of eggs at a car, and now the car is covered in eggs. Okay. On to egg on. This has a completely different meaning, which is why it's a phrasal verb. And this one I haven't thought about specifically, but on we talked about last time is sort of that it's usually a surface or platform. It's always a positive state or active state, which is kind of abstract and hard to describe in a quick, easy way. But I explain all that in the book. Also, I think in the video for on, I have 3 videos for on. But to egg on means to encourage someone to do something or to try to get someone to do something that has a negative outcome. I'm pretty sure it's always negative. So usually maybe it could be because they're afraid, because they're chickening out, maybe. But usually it's going to be something like, I don't know, like 2 people are about to get into a fight, right? Tensions are high. They're ready to go. And another person is like, yeah, fight, 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 right? They're egging the people on. They're trying to get them to start the fight. Now, why does egg and on mean that? I'd have to think about that. Egg specifically, I definitely have to think about that one. The on, we can obviously tie that into the idea of this thing has not started. This action has not happened, right? And you're encouraging someone to do that. You're trying to make it active. Okay. You're trying to make them engage in that thing. So it's fairly simple to see how the positive state or active state of on can apply there and make sense. I might come back to some of these depending. Technically, I only have like 15 minutes, but what about your love is off the chains? I've never heard this before. There are some examples or some things that you guys are going to hear that a particular native speaker, in this case me, may have never heard before. And that could be because maybe it's more of a regional thing. It could be more of a dialectical thing. Sometimes it's not, and that particular person just hasn't heard that phrase. Off the chains, I've heard like off the hook, off the wall, off the chains. I don't think I've ever heard that before. They're probably all similar. I won't go into the details of off here, but they're like we say off the hook, off the wall. It's like it was really cool. It was really awesome. There was, like we say, this party is off the hook. It's like, oh, it was really cool. It was really awesome. It was really fun. We say off the wall, that could mean crazy, like literally, like somebody has, like he just went off, or not. We wouldn't say he went off the wall, but we say like it was off the walls. Like it just sounds like it's bouncing. Like there's a bounciness to it. A lot of high energy, a lot of craziness going on. Usually in a positive way. I don't think it's, that could be negative, but by default, I think of positive. So that's probably related. If it's not, then I don't know. I just haven't heard that phrase. They're up into something. They're up to something. They're up into something. I can imagine how that might work, but I can't think of an example or a context where I would say up into. Well, up into in this particular phrase, they're up into something. Yeah. Okay. So this would not. So here, up is kind of the verb. Sometimes what is a preposition can be used as a verb. I guess if we're being really rounded, they are up. Are is the verb, but I would look it up as the verb here. It doesn't really matter necessarily. We don't have to care. But this sounds to me like, say, as a basic example, not exactly this necessarily, but as a basic example, if we say you have like cookies up on the shelf and there's like a 5-year-old who, can't reach the cookies. That's why they're on the shelf, because you don't want the 5-year-old to eat the cookies. And then they literally get up onto the shelf. It doesn't necessarily have to be up onto the shelf, but if they're going to access the cookies, they're going to go into the cookie jar, right? So they're we would say they're getting into something that they should not, right? That's part of why we say get into trouble. That has to do with get, which we're not going to talk about right now. But if you get into trouble, that means that you weren't in trouble. You did something that caused you to now be in a state of trouble. There's some consequence that you're going to face because you did something. So you're in trouble, right? They're up into something. It kind of sounds like that. Like it's like they're up to something combined with in. So it feels more like the kid shouldn't be getting into the cookie jar, but he is. And so it's like he's up to no good. He's up to doing something that he shouldn't be doing. That's what we mean when we say to be up to do, or to be up to something is one of the meanings. There's a lot of nuances and shades here. I'm trying to splice all this out and it's not working very well. But yeah, up into something that's probably because this phrase seems a little weird to me. Not that it doesn't work, but it seems weird to me. So we'll move on. Get put under. I think it's a phrasal verb. Yeah. So under, I'm not brushed up on. Literally, it's like below something. But it's tied with off a little bit because that getting out of or off of that positive active state into a negative or inactive state. Get put under. Context and sentences are important, but to put someone under, put something under, that could be like you're going to go for surgery, right? So your consciousness is active, you're awake, you're aware, and then they put a gas whatever to make you go to sleep. We say that the doctor put you under. So he put you because it was forcible, like the gas forcibly made you lose consciousness. But he put you under, so now your consciousness is under the surface. You're not actively aware anymore. So this is a connection between under and on. So to get put under, that kind of sounds like maybe like you kill somebody. Because you can put someone 6 feet under, which is like you dig a 6-foot grave and bury them. Hopefully, not, but that would be what that means. So if someone got put under, it sounds like someone killed them. But yeah. If you want to link any idea with another idea, you can. It doesn't make logical. I wouldn't still call it logical. You can literally link any. This is rephrasing. Okay. Even if they had no real relation. Well, that's just the thing. This is a criticism. I guess I'll finish the thread here. A human and a glass of water, they both are made of atoms. English and a pen, they both, when they're written, have the letter E. They have to have no link. I wouldn't say they have to have. That sounds weird. They don't have any link. But yeah, however, I was able to link them. Yeah, so that's one of the criticisms I get from some people. And that's fine. At the end of the day, like, as I said, I've already proved that this approach works. So I don't care if, like, objectively, which I don't think this is true, but objectively, let's just say I'm talking complete nonsense and I'm just like drawing lines to things that are not at all related. like what Abdullah is saying here. So, okay, English and pen both have the letter E. That's their thing in common. And I'm going to connect English and pen because they both have the letter E. Let's just say that's what I'm doing with this entire book, this entire idea. It works. Right. It's just like I tell you guys with pronunciation, right? Like if you do something in a way that I describe and you get the result, great. If you do something in a way that I don't describe, or you follow some other teacher because it makes more sense to you or it helps you get to a better result, that's all that matters. I don't care. Sound is king. So if I say, hey, raise the back of your tongue when you're doing the sound, and you feel like you don't raise the back of your tongue when you're doing that sound, and you happen to sound good anyway for whatever reason, go with it. I don't care. All I care about are the results. The process does not matter. What I try to do is I try to come up with creative, interesting processes, and I like to tie things together. This is how my brain works. I like to think of myself as a synthesizer. I tie things together that don't seem to be connected. But where one person would look at my thought processes and stuff like in this book, they would look at it as, well, there's not any real relation. You're just tying them together and sure, okay, fine, it works. I truly believe, especially with prepositions and especially as a native speaker. Now, there's going to be natives who look at this and they're like, I don't know, whatever. I consulted with some friends and stuff, like my brother, a couple friends, and whatever. When I was trying to figure out the logic of some of the prepositions, and I was like, how does this feel to you? Does this make sense if we think of this way? Blah 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 blah. And I sort of tested some things just to see the reactions, and sometimes I got some mixed things. A lot of the time, I like people were right with me with what I was describing. So any given person, we see this in the pronunciation too. Like one teacher might say one thing, another teacher might say another thing. It's not necessarily that one person is wrong. It's just maybe two ways of looking at the same thing. So I admit that there are some cases where maybe things are a bit of a stretch. Okay. And even like say with the preposition by, that one took me, that was one of the last ones. It was one of the longest ones because by is so abstract. And it was so tricky to nail down. But I would not finish a preposition. Like I'm not the kind of person that's like, well, it depends on what we're talking about. If it's something that doesn't matter, I'll be like, okay, whatever, it's good enough. But this was a book. This was a big idea I had. This is something that's important. That's, hopefully going to help people. And so for something that's important like that, um, I don't like to cut corners. I like to feel that what I'm saying is in some way accurate. So I'm not just going to link a bunch of things randomly together and say, here, think of it this way. And then if it works for you, great. If it doesn't, then it doesn't, which at the end of the day, that's kind of what it comes down to. But I truly believe that the logic of prepositions, this concept that there's a core idea and feeling to each preposition, I don't think that it's something I created, especially because of the maps. Next time I'll have to make sure I find the maps and I'll bring the maps up to you guys and we can maybe explore that as the lesson topic. Which again, if you don't know all the prepositions, it might not make complete sense, but I didn't create the maps. As I was figuring out more and more prepositions, literally the map started appearing, the image of the map started appearing in my brain. It wasn't something like, oh, I could, put this here and put that there, and then this would make sense here. No, it's like literally like based on what I am finding as the core of this one and this one and this one and this one, it started to create a picture by itself. It started to create an actual relationship map between, especially the core prepositions, at, on, in, and then up, down, on, off, out. Those are the sort of the two core groups. And of course, those two groups are also related as well. That's really the core matrix of the entire language. In many ways, not just for prepositions, but in many, many ways. And so I really feel that I discovered something here. Like it's an actual discovery of how American English in general, because there's some differences depending on like British English or Australian English, but most of it's the same. But I feel it's a real discovery of how the language operates at a deep fundamental level through the subconscious of a native speaker. Um, and Spanish, same. Japanese, same. Russian, same. I haven't gone out and mapped those. I tried to do a little bit with Spanish after I published the English one, and I didn't get very far because I needed to work with a native, and trying to line that up with the people I was working with at the time was cumbersome between our schedules because I needed to verify. Like I use my brain power to find the connections, but because I'm not a native, I wanted to verify with the native what they thought. But anyway, yeah, again, at the end of the day, maybe I'm speaking a bunch of nonsense, but the nonsense works. I've already shown that it works with some people that I worked with in the past. So it doesn't matter. That's the main point. You say a glass of water is half empty or half full. Abdullah says half full. Do I say? Is this an English grammar question, or is this a you're asking me personally? Because you can say both in English. If you say half empty, we look at it as negative because empty is like if the glass is because it's half either way, right? There's the same amount of liquid in the glass, whether you say it's half empty or half full. That's why it's a positive or negative perspective idea. So if you see the glass as half empty, you're seeing it as negative because you're focusing on what's missing. If you see the glass as half full, you're seeing it as positive because you're focusing on what's there. And so this is like pessimism versus optimism. So we say, I'm a glass half full kind of guy, right? That's a phrase that we might use in English. I'm a glass half full kind of guy. And what I mean when I say that, it's sort of an idiom or an idiomatic expression. I'm telling you, I'm an optimist. I like to look at the positive things in life. Off the Chains is sung by Selena Gomez. Okay, I don't know. I don't pay attention to Selena Gomez. I know that was reference to your previous one. I'm not going to look that up. Maybe I'll check it out later. But in the song Understanding by Evanescence, she uses the word away next to verbs, such as in she credit. Oh, yeah. So we had this question last time. I'm surprised he doesn't know Off the Chain. Yeah, I don't. Anyway. So this one, I think Abdullah left a comment on right after the stream ended about this last time, and it wasn't wrong, but it doesn't necessarily apply to this exact case. So when we say away, we'll finish up with this one because it's already been about an hour. If there's any really big last minute things, maybe we can cover a little bit more, but we'll try to finish with this one here. So credit all the way. I'm gonna just to make sure. I want to listen to this song so I can get the full context. I'm not gonna listen to the whole song, obviously. I'm not gonna sit here for 3 minutes, and I can't necessarily play it because then I get a copyright strike. So I'm just gonna listen to it myself. It's actually surprising. Evanescence is one of my favorite bands, and I don't know if I've heard this song. Particularly their first album. Like their first album is one of the best pieces of musical composition in the history of humanity. It's amazing. After that, it's kind of downhill. Some things are good. They came out with a new album a few years ago that was pretty good, but that first album, oh my God, it's like every single song on that album is just genius. I love it. Evanescence, Understanding. Okay. So this is very low audio quality. That's not what I want. Oh, that's just how the song opens. Is there? I don't know if you have this at the hip. You have this easily accessible, Fernando. But do you have like a timestamp in the song where these phrases are used, so I don't have to like search through the whole song? I'll maybe give you a second to do that so that I'm not just here searching for it. Are they country? Evidence is definitely not country. Although I love country. That's one of my top genres. But Evanescence is They get a lot of different genre and subgenre labels, but you can classify them. The two main ways that I would classify them is what is it? I think it's called industrial metal or something like that. Like old school industrial metal. I think it's industrial. I don't know if I'm using the right one. I want to say into something, but or we could just say emo. That's how it was when I was in high school and their first album came out. So it came out like right before I went into high school, and I listened to a lot of emo music. I still listen to a lot of emo music. It's one of my favorite genres. But yeah, sad songs basically. Um, so kind of like country. Not that country is all sad songs, but that's one of the reasons I listen to country, because I love sad songs. Because life is sad. Come on. No, don't mute my mic. I don't know why this keeps adjusting itself. I don't know if you guys notice a change in volume, because I think StreamYard tries to like auto adjust it, but it keeps changing itself to a lower setting. Okay. Still waiting for the timestamp there. Folklore is my favorite, so similar to country. Well, folklore is not a genre of music. That's like a genre of storytelling. It's like the traditional lore, the traditional stories of an area, a region. What you're probably thinking of is folk music. So folk is a genre, which is kind of rooted in a similar type of thing. It's usually regional. Regional. I got really lazy with that one. It's in the last part of the video. Okay. Folk can have some overlaps with country, but folk tends to be either very regional, and so it depends on the region. If it's like Polish folk music, that's the genre. It's Polish. It's only folk because it's tied in that general like regional type of categorization. But yeah, country. I would define country. It has to have at least a steel guitar, a violin or fiddle, as they call it in the South, and or a banjo. If it has at least one of those things, I will consider it country. A lot of the country music that gets produced these days is, you can say maybe a subgenre of country, but it sounds a lot more like hip hop and R&B, which is fine. It's not bad music. It's just it's not. If I want to listen to country, that's not what I'm looking to listen to. Okay, so N10. Okay, let me see here. This is a good song. Okay, okay. So a very sad song. How have I not heard this song before? Where does this come from? Okay, so it gives me a little better idea of the context. Yeah. So the basic meaning of away. Let's tie this up. The basic meaning of away is away. um, etymologically. So etymology, the history of words. Etymologically, as an adjective to describe something. This a at the start of words. There's different uses for it. But one of the core original etymological meanings of this a prefix, we can say, is negation, right? So I'm trying to think of an example here. a whatever, it doesn't matter. But it could also have other things, like when we talk about a fire, if something is a fire, this is, I think it comes from Old English, it might be Middle English. That actually means on fire. If we say something is a fire, it sounds like a very traditional, old, poetic way to say something is on fire, something is burning. um, so it does have different uses, but when we use away, and I noticed this in Spanish too, like it's in the future, I'm going to have lessons on like prefixes and etymology and how it like creates the meaning of words, and it can really help you understand and learn and feel words a lot better. It's not necessary, but it's a useful thing. I like to do that. Desayuno, right? Des is like, because in English, breakfast is break fast, and then we change the pronunciation because you fasted for 8 hours while you were sleeping, and then you break it by eating in the morning. So desayuno, it's like it's the same thing in Spanish, basically. But anyway, away. So if we think of there's and we think of it as like negative, okay. It could even maybe be the positive. I haven't actually thought of the logic of this necessarily, but then we have the way. Okay, so way would be just sort of a general abstract, like, okay, which way do I go? Which way do I do it? How, right? Different topic, but way is very, very abstract. By is, I think the core idea of by is way, a way or a path. And that's one reason why it's such a horrible preposition to nail down. But now we're not saying a way, right? If it's two separate words, that there is just an article. So I need a way to do it. So that's not the same. But if it's combined, so if we say go away, okay, so I want you to go somewhere. Where do I want you to go? Someplace that is not here. Because I'm here and I don't want you to be here. So I want you to go away. Where? I don't care. Okay. So where I am, this is actually linked to on under the or to on and down under the surface, the Old English off dunne. Because wherever you are, usually we also think of this as your house. And we're not going to get into examples of that here because we don't have time and I'd have to look them up in the book. But your house is like your home base, or wherever you are, that's wherever you're currently existing. And so we think of that, right? We say, he came up to me and punched me in the face. Why do we say up? Well, one, because he's getting closer, but also because I have this sort of little hill of existence that I'm existing on. It's abstract, but it's a core part of the language. It goes all the way back to Old English, very much under the surface. This is one of the big discoveries I made and why I feel that I really discovered something here. But when we say away, that's obviously in a direction that is not here. So it could be this way, it could be that way, it could be that way. It doesn't matter which direction it is. Away is not specific in the direction. It is literally just some way that is moving farther from where I am. In this case, go away from me. So from is connected, right? From is a starting point. It's always a starting or an origin point, we should say specifically. And that's implied. So that's would be the basic idea of away. Again, I'd have to, if I look a little bit more at the etymology and the various examples, I'd have a better picture of that. I can maybe try to prepare that for the next one. But when we say she cried it all away, can't wash it all away. So Abdullah here said for a long time, and that's what he commented after the last live. Depending on how we look at things and depending on the context, a particular phrase could have multiple meanings, like we were talking about earlier with hold out, right? So when we say talk away, right? So he was just talking away. Okay. That can definitely mean for a long time. It sort of implies a long time, but it doesn't necessarily have to be a long time. It just means like on and on and on and on. So here we see a connection between away and on. Okay. So he continued to talk and he continued to talk and he continued to talk. So it's literally like he started talking at one point And then this isn't physical space. We can say this is like traveling through time instead of traveling through space. But he started talking at one point, and then he continued talking, and he continued talking, and he continued talking, and he wouldn't shut up like I tend to do. And he just kept talking, and he's talking and talking and talking and talking and talking. Okay. You could describe that as you could say he went on, or you could say he just talked away. Okay. So in that case, he's not physically leaving a place, but he started somewhere. And because he continued talking in that stream, it's like he left the starting point like way, back here. And it's not like a normal conversation where it's like one person, another person, another person, another person. It's just him the whole time. But let's say, and I'm going to come back to, I'm going to use talk as an easy example, but I'm going to come back to the evanescence ones after I finish this. When we say talk away, so another meaning, another context, I can say you can't talk away your problems. Okay. You can't talk away your problems. That has nothing to do with for a long time. It has nothing to do with time at all. Okay. What that means is you have problems, whatever they are, they're real, they exist, and you have to actually take action to solve those problems, or maybe try to run away from them, which is also an action. You have to do something. You either avoid the problem, you solve the problem, but if you just talk about the problem, it's not going to fix the problem. Okay, so you can't talk away your problems. So here, talking away has the meaning of the problem is here, the problem exists, and I'm going to try to talk about them in order to make them disappear, in order to make them go away, right, farther from my existence, so that I don't have that problem anymore. It's not near me, it's not affecting me. Okay, so again, it's an abstract application, but we can see how it sort of abstractly ties to physical space. It's just not actually physical. That's usually how this works. There's going to be time and space, and it's either going to be literally in time, literally in space, or it's going to be abstractly tied to time or tied to space. So two different contexts, same combination, talk away, two different applications, right? Because of the two different contexts. One has a specific meaning for a long time, continuously. He kept going. The other one has a specific meaning of making it disappear, making it go away, making it not be where I am so I don't have to deal with it. So again, the first one is moving away in time because he continues to talk from that starting point. It has nothing to do with something else going away. In this case, it's like he is the one that has left that starting point and he just continues, talking. So it's a completely different application, but it's still an application of the same core idea. When we talk about, that's not what I wanted, up here. When we talk about cried it all away, can't wish it all away, this I don't think would have anything to do with a long time, especially given the context of the song. It's a very sad song. I just listened to a little bit of it. It's sort of like there's pain, there's suffering. Somebody, I think in the song, maybe the person, they broke up, they're not together anymore, and now she's like suffering, she's sad, whatever. I'd have to listen to the whole song to get more of the context. But so if you cry it all away, right? So we say she cried it all away. So she has this pain. This pain exists. It's in her. It's present, right? Just like we have a problem, we have pain. Okay. And what does pain cause? If it's extreme enough, whether physical or emotional, it causes tears. It causes you to cry. So if we say she cried it all away, she has such pain, she has such suffering that it literally flows out through her eyes. And usually, as the human experience will tell us, when you have a lot of pain like that, for whatever reason, especially if it's because somebody broke up with you or somebody died or whatever the reason is, the act of grieving, the act of crying, is part of the process of moving through that and regaining balance, right? Homeostasis, we would say. And so it's through the crying, right? We say let it out. So here's another connection with out. Outward direction, literally, but also the pain is in me. It exists in me. Through crying, I can help some of that pain go away. I can help some of that pain disappear. Okay. Um, doesn't mean necessarily all of it, and it might take a lot of time, but usually we cry, we feel better. So that's the idea. Okay. You cry the pain away. Okay. Um, so it's literally the pain is in existence. It's literally inside me, and I'm getting it out of me. It's moving away from me through crying. Okay. When we say can't wash, or wash would be another one. Can't wish it all away. Okay. So can't, just like say you can't talk away your problems. This would be very, very similar. You can't wish it all away. So all the negative stuff, all the pain, all the whatever, like, oh, I wish this never happened. Well, it did happen. So it's not possible to just wish that it didn't happen and then now reality is different, right? You can't just change the past like that. So it's a very similar thing. I have a wish, I have a desire that I don't want this to be true. Okay, I want the truth, I want the reality to go away and be replaced by a new, different reality that I like better. Um, so again, we can see sort of under the surface how we see a connection with out, we see a connection with on, a positive active state, right? This is the reality. This is what's happening. This is the existence that is currently, because of events that happened, here I am. And I want to wish it all away. I want to create a new reality, right, that is outside of this reality so that I don't feel bad. Okay. So this is another good example. These are good examples of how we don't see out, we don't see on. Okay, there's probably more here. How they're not in these phrases, but they're working under the surface. And this is another reason why I feel very strongly that this is a discovery, not something that I just made up, because so many times when I explore one particular phrase or example, just through trying to describe it, I naturally find connections to other prepositions under the surface, even without trying. Okay, so that tells me that there's really something going on here. It's not just me trying to randomly connect things that aren't actually connected. And by the time I finished the book, I was like, this is a fact, right? Not everybody likes the approach. Not everybody agrees with me. Whatever, I don't care. Can you sometimes make a video where you show your setup? I guess I could. Yeah. That, sir or ma'am. I assume sir because it's Mr. Pretzel, but I don't like to assume the gender of pretzels. I don't know. It's random. I don't generally worry about political correctness, but I could. Most of it is just what you see behind me because this is literally my setup. But that would be member content, right? Because that's not the focus of the channel. That's usually behind the scenes special details for members. So if you want to become a member, we can definitely get that going. Not that you have to, and it's literally $1. It's just $1 a month. Not that much. I think I've plugged my memberships too much for a long time until it's not there anymore. Cry it all away. Wish it all away. Well, I don't think that would work with wish, because wish is literally like you're trying to escape the reality that you're in, and like you wish it were a different reality. So it has nothing to do with time. Cry it all away. I can see how maybe there could be a time component if the grieving process is very long, but at the very least, that wouldn't be the default, most natural meaning that we would think of for that phrase. So as I explained, sometimes a long time works perfectly depending on the context and what we're saying. Sometimes maybe that could still apply in some way, but that wouldn't be the main meaning, right? It would be something else. Oh, good, you corrected yourself. Okay, read it out loud. You should have used they. What? I'm so confused. Her little sister died. Oh, okay, so that's good context. Yeah, so it makes sense. As I said, you break up with somebody dies, whatever. Grieving process. Okay, what is happening? Read it out loud. Reading what out loud? Now I'm just confused. Out loud, or is that a question? Out loud, aloud? And then you should have used they. I have no idea. Oh, I see, because I was talking about Mr. Mr. Pretzel. Yeah. I guess I should have. Which that's actually a grammar point we're going to talk about later. There's a lot of the I don't want to use that word on stream because it will definitely negatively affect the channel, but grammar police, we'll say. I'm thinking of a different word, but grammar police, they will tell you that this is wrong, but we have the impersonal they. Traditionally, you're supposed to say he or she. If you don't know if it's male, female, or whoever, has nothing to do with political correctness. Like literally, you don't know this person, right? So if anybody wants to join me at 10 o'clock for coffee, he or she can do so. That would be traditionally what you say, and you could still say that. But it's much, much more common and perfectly natural and perfectly correct, grammatically correct, even though many grammar police will tell you it's wrong, to say, if anybody wants to join me for coffee, they can do so. There's nothing wrong with that. I'm going to be talking about some of those types of details in future lessons or streams or whatever. See una aliade? Oh, I guess it's ally. I don't know. I guess I didn't know the Spanish word for ally. I assume that's ally based on the context. Say un buen aliade. No simplemente un aliade. Un buen aliade. Don't tell me what to do. But no, anyway, that's a different topic. I'm not going to say positive or negative about that. I think you guys know I'm pretty open-minded and accepting of a lot of things. We'll leave it at that. We're not going to get into politics because that would just be counterproductive, and I don't want people to miss out on the information I'm giving because they disagree. No matter what I say, somebody's going to agree and somebody's going to disagree, and I don't want that to affect the information I'm giving you guys. Like, I don't want somebody to miss out on my information, just because I said something. I mean, obviously, I'm not going to try to completely censor myself, but we're not going to get fully into politics and talk about all that. What does out mean in the phrase "read it out loud"? I gotta go. I don't understand. I don't know what you don't understand. I'm confused. I guess I'll leave the last point at this. People are people. We're all people, and I try to focus on my own business. We'll say that. Okay, what does out? Okay, so if you're reading and you're not saying it, you're just reading it, it's in your head, right? That's what we say, read in your head, read silently. Okay, so it's literally in your brain, in your head. You hear the thoughts in your head. If you read out loud, that means that as it goes in through your eyes, instead of you just hearing it in your head and you're not saying anything, you're actually literally saying the words out loud that you're saying. Okay, so it's in your head, not just in your head, it's actually out. You're speaking the words out into existence or whatever. That one's pretty easy. It's a little abstract, sure, but that should make some basic sense. The Spanish. He's yeah, I didn't even think to translate it because I just understand. He said be a good ally. I'm pretty sure, because I've never actually seen or heard the word ally, but based on the context, I'm pretty sure aliade is ally. See, context. You learn from context, right? I'm gonna remember that word. Miss out on something. Yeah, so we definitely don't have time to go into that. I'm already like 25 minutes over, so we're gonna end here, unfortunately. Sorry, Fernando. I'm talking away here, trying to keep things going, but I have to go. It's progressive languages. Progressive. If that's progressive politically, I don't know how that has to do with language. Oh, progressive language, not languages. That sounds like Spanish is progressive and English is progressive and Japanese is progressive, right? So progressive language is not like English, Spanish, Russian, Japanese. It's literally like the words we use. So that meaning of language, we don't use plural. We never use plural for that. That's why I was confused, because it was like, what? So yeah, it's progressive language. Yeah, anyway. But miss out on something. Can I say something about that really quick before I go? The only thing I'll say right now is miss out is the phrasal verb. On something is a separate thing. On is connected to something. So miss out on an opportunity. A lot of people would look at this as miss out on as a phrasal verb, as one piece, but that's not how the language works. The on is just the link. Okay, it's just links. So miss out is one piece. On links miss out and the thing that is being missed out. So the opportunity. Okay. And if you think about it that way, you can sort of separate and splice things better and understand what's going on. So I'll say that for now. Yeah, I don't know a lot of that in Spanish. Just like I don't know a lot of everyday items, because I never really took the time to learn that. Like, I mean, I know like cuchara, but I was gonna say spoon. I'm like, oh, I know the word spoon, but I don't know, like, all the utensil words. I don't even know the word utensil. So, which, by the way, that's another idea I have for the future, is like putting on a GoPro or something, and then having like first person English, where it's like literally like I'm making a sandwich or something, and it's like on the screen you'll see like labels like, oh, bread and knife and cut the bread and things like that. And so it's literally like you seeing the world kind of through my eyes in a way, and then just like labeling things and showing natural language in like everyday situations. But I'm definitely going to wait till I have an editor for that, because that's going to be way too much on my end. I would never finish that. Thank you so much. Have a nice day. Yes. Thank you guys as well. We ended up going for an extra half hour, which I try not to do. You guys just have all the great questions. Thank you to our new members, for sure. We'll be here back again tomorrow with another stream. Looks like a live Q&A, 30-minute. That's going to be a short one. So bring whatever questions you have. Tomorrow is, I think, Sunday. Yeah. One of these I think I have to reschedule because family issues. But yeah, we have more coming. You're welcome, Fernando. Thank you, Rosa, for Rosa. I can't do that. Still trouble rolling my R's. I don't have my Spanish posture fully in place. But yes, thank you for joining us and asking great questions. I don't think a lot of languages can use they the same way as English, but I don't know. Yeah, English has in many ways become a general purpose language, not just lingua franca, but like in the language itself, that we have a lot of general purpose features. Take care. You too, Abdullah. See you guys tomorrow in the next stream, if you join.